I'm Jason Daunter. Join me in our Projects with Jason team as we celebrate the career of one of America's most beloved stage and screen stars, Kevin Kline. He is joined by public school students from the state of California in collaboration with the Drama Teachers Association of Southern California. To be or not to be? That's the question. Here we go. This is Artists in Conversation.
I've almost forgot the taste of fears. The time has been my senses would have cooled to hear a night shriek, or my fell of hair would at a dismal treatise rouse and stir as life were in it. I have supped full with horrors, and direness familiar to my slaughterous thoughts cannot once stop me. Wherefore was that cry? She should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day till the last syllable of recorded time. And then all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Down! Down, brief candle! Life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury signifying nothing.
That's how you start a acting show. Hi, David. How are you?
Hi, great.
That was obviously Macbeth from Macbeth. We wanted to launch right into tonight's show with some great dynamic acting, and you just gave that to us. So David Kwan, everybody, thank you so much, David.
Thank you so
much.
Hi,
I'm Jason Daunter, and welcome to Artists in Conversation, the launch of our new series here at Project with Jason. We are so thrilled tonight to be launching into this with Kevin Kline as our guest star. Students, Shakespeare, and a whole lot of Kevin. So you're going to see some dynamic performances from public school students here in California all evening, just like that. They're challenging them from Shakespeare. They're all part of the Drama Teachers Association of Southern California, or DTASC to those in the know. That does these opportunities for students both in the fall and the spring. Like I was told, like close to 2,500 middle school and high school students are given the opportunity to do contemporary works in the fall and then Shakespeare's in the spring. And there's also opportunities for technicians to design like Elizabethan period costumes in the spring as well. Obviously, they're not happening right now. So this was an outlet for them to do it, and also to one of America's greatest performers in any genre, but is also known for his classical stage work. To kind of pair all of them together tonight in this performance was really great. I am the dumbest person in the room tonight, no question. I'm going to read from notes, and I'm probably going to butcher some names. And as in rehearsal yesterday with Kevin, I said, am I supposed to know that play? Was I supposed to read it in college? Because I don't remember. So they know a lot more about Shakespeare than I do. But we're going to keep things rolling with a couple more performances before we get to Mr. Kline. So coming up next, based off of Chaucer's The Knight's Tale, Two Noble Kinsmen is a tragic comedy written by both William Shakespeare and John Fletcher. In the show, the jailer's daughter is an immature 18-year-old desperate to experience romance. She's been taking care of the imprisoned Arcite and Palamon, bringing them their food and cleaning their cell when she falls head over heels for Palamon. With two noble kinsmen, this is Samantha Harnick.
Then I loved him, extremely loved him, infinitely loved him. Yet he had a cousin, fair as he too, but in my heart was Palamon, and there, Lord, what a coil he keeps. To hear him sing in an evening, what a heaven it is! And yet his songs are sad ones. Fair spoken was never a gentleman. When I come to bring him water in a morning, first he bows his noble body, then he salutes me thus. Dear gentle maid, good morrow. May thy goodness get thee a happy husband. Once he kissed me, I love my lips for that are 10 days after. Would he would do so every day. He grieves much, and me as much to see his misery. What should I do to make him know I love him? For I would fain enjoy him. Say I ventured to set him free. What says the law then? Thus much for law or kindred? I will do it, and this night, or tomorrow, he will love me.
Come on with the two noble kinsmen. He will love you. See, I'm going to go for the musical theater reference. And you're going to love me, like F. White said. Look at me, right? The musicals. I can't stay in a straight play classic world. Thank you, Samantha. We'll see you in a little bit. So obviously, we've got the comments to the side. Give some shout outs. I love that we are featuring actors tonight. And like I said, we're going to be featuring on this series, especially too, with Artists in Conversation, all artists. I wonder if there's a career in business out there that you want to relate to, that you're going to see them in the flesh here on this show talking about it, right? Because it takes all of us in this art of collaboration. So throw some love. If you've got questions for Mr. Kline coming up too, put them in the comments. We'll do that as well. But it's quite an experience tonight to hear people that may not be musical theater, but they're really at this age want to do Shakespearean classic work. I'm so impressed. So let's keep it moving with another one. I've actually seen this young lady on stage in a show. I was fortunate to see her play the nurse in Romeo and Juliet, and she's quite spectacular. So we're lucky to have her on board as well. The Merry Wives of Windsor is a Shakespearean comedy about two wives that are best friends being scammed by the same man. This man isn't just any man. He is the notorious drunkard of the town, and his name is John Falstaff. He has written both Mistress Ford and Mistress Page, the same love letter, attempting to convince them to fall for him as well. In this monologue, the naive Mistress Page finds her letter and reads the content, which thoroughly displeases her. This is Holland Rolap with The Merry Wives of Windsor.
What? Have I escaped love letters in the holiday time of my beauty? And am I now a subject for them? Let me see. Ask me no reason why I love you, for love use reason for his physician, and admits him not for his counselor. You are not young. No more am I, go to then their sympathy. You are merry, so am I. Ha, ha. Then there's more sympathy. You love sack. So do I. Would you desire better sympathy? Let it suffice thee, Mistress Page, for if the love of soldier can suffice, then I love thee. I will not say pity me, 'tis not a soldier-like phrase, but I will say love me. By me, thine own true knight, by day or night, or any kind of light, with all his might, to thee I fight. John Falstaff. What a Herod of Jewry is this? Oh, wicked world, one that is well nigh worn to pieces with age, to show himself a young gallant? What an unweighed behavior hath this Flemish drunkard picked with the devil's name out of my conversation, that he dares in this manner assay me? Why, he hath not been thrice in my company. Oh, what should I say to him? Oh, I was then frugal of my mirth. Heaven forgive me. Why, I'll exhibit a bill in Parliament for the putting down of fat men. How shall I be revenged on him? For revenged I will be as sure as his guts are made of puddings.
Okay, I adore your choices. I've always thought you make such interesting choices. Also, if you're just joining us for the first time, I probably should let people know that we are performing from obviously kitchens and living rooms and bedrooms across, Southern California. So 20 years from now, and this still exists on the internet, people know what we were all going through now, and still being able to share Shakespeare on a Saturday night at a proper New York City curtain time, actually, 8 p.m. How about that? Thank you, Helen. That was amazing. Come back in a second and ask a question. So we'll be back in a minute. So part of the reason you all are here tonight is to hear journeys of artists who, again, we've been using the word success and all of this, and what is that based on? And I had the great fortune in 2007 to do my first Broadway show with Kevin Kline. And it was an experience like none other. It was also the IATSE strike that year. I met him within 3 days of the rehearsal process, and we became super close working on it and have kept a friendship through the years. But I always said it was like going to grad school for me. There we are, look at that. He would work tirelessly on the show and constantly run the lines and want to make sure it was always looking and striving for perfection. 8 shows a week and find new moments. So to me, it was just watching that art form so that I can share that tonight, my love of him, and I know the love that everyone out there has for him. So for him to agree to come do this and kick off this with us is amazing. So we all know him. We can know him as Nathan Landau. We can know him as eating a fish or sniffing a boot. That voice, people have said, that voice. Stop calling me Mr. Loman. Cole Porter, the Pirate King on the 20th century. Falstaff, Hamlet, Cyrano. The list goes on and on and on. But to me, he is Kevin Kline. We are both from St. Louis. Please give a virtual shout out. Here he comes, Kevin Kline. Yeah. Hello, sir.
Hi. I don't know where to look on this thing. Am I looking?
I know. If you look in there, you look good in camera to me right there. If you look right there,
I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the green light.
It's not like, Andy Cohen has that one eye that, let's not go there, but you never quite know where Andy Cohen's looking if you haven't. Watch what happens now. Just, we won't get him as a guest now, but are you looking at me? Where are you? So, good evening.
Good evening.
The next 45 minutes of this is what they're going to get. They're going to get some interesting facts about you. I'm going to gossip about the entertainment community. What about those 3 high school thespians that just kicked off the night?
Very impressive. Very impressive. First of all, I understood everything. That sounds like pretty basic, but with Shakespeare, comprehension on the audience's part is something devoutly to be wished. And I could comprehend what was being said and what was being felt about what was being said. And I didn't know the new Two Noble Kinsmen piece at all.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've never seen that or read it.
I thought you knew all the catalog.
I do, but that was a collaboration, as you pointed out.
Right, that's true. Fair enough. Not the original. So I'm gonna.
Another ones I just I read half of them.
I'm gonna bring the 3 of them back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring the 3 of them back because they've prepared a question for you. If you'll do that, so let's Caroline, let's load them back into the stream so they can say hello to Mr. Kline.
Hi.
Bunch situation.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam, you want to launch in for us, Adam? and ask your question. Oh, David. Sorry, why don't I say Adam? Sorry, Adam. Look at me. It's not Adam. David. David, will you launch in with your first question for us?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Mr. Kline, like, what's the difference between performing comedy on stage and on screen? Because I know you've done both.
It's a comedy is comedy. I think it's the same. Of course, when you're on stage and there happens to be an audience, if all is going well, you'll hear laughter. Doesn't always happen, but that's a whole other story. But it's really the same. Funny is funny, and the only thing with filming comedy is you don't hear the laugh. You have to know it's funny. You just have to. It helps if you see the crew or the director going, trying. But they could be just getting sick, or you never know. In fact, I remember on A Fish Called Wanda, John Cleese was telling us all to don't be surprised if the crew doesn't laugh at all, because they don't know the context of the scene.
Oh, yeah.
And they're also highly professional. It's supposed to not be making noises off screen. John Cleese was the one who cracked up more than anyone and ruined several takes. He had to redo because he just was so amused by what he had written. And I get the way we were performing it. In any case, it's funny is funny.
Great, yeah, that makes sense.
It's the same.
And thanks for being so brave and opening the show for us tonight. Because when I told you yesterday I was going to come right out of an intro and do a cold performance with you, you didn't bat an eye at me. So
yeah, I was a little taken aback, but
that's and not an easy speech to do.
No.
and it's at the end of the play, and to start off an evening with it's
yeah, definitely a strong one.
It was great. It was
Thank you. Yeah.
Powerful.
Thanks, David. Let's talk to Samantha. Samantha, come talk to us.
Hi there.
Hi, Samantha.
Hi. So I have a question.
Shoot.
I was wondering if you were ever to be miscast in any Shakespearean show, what show would it be and what character would you want to play?
If I were ever to be miscast in a Shakespeare play, what would that character be?
Yes.
If I were miscast, but thought I should be playing it?
Or it could be a different gender of a character or something that you would never think you would be cast as, but wish you could play because you just like the character.
Oh, probably Cleopatra in Antony and Cleopatra. What a part. I'll never play it. And it's not because I'm old.
Never say never.
Well, that's true. That's true. Mark Rylance did it in the New Globe Theater. Of course, the first 10 years of the Globe Theater, they were doing it the way Shakespeare did it, where men were playing the women's roles, et cetera, et cetera. So he played Cleopatra. I should ask him what that was like. I'm sure it's really Cleopatra's play, I've always thought. And she's, it's a great character. Great. I mean, she gets to say, it's something I find with Shakespeare, oh, why did you like that? Oh, well, I got to say his legs bestrid the oceans. What is that thing about, oh, the odds is gone, the soldier's pole is fallen. When Antony dies, her lament is so profound and moving as she thinks about Antony. It's just words you'd love to be able to say sometime.
Yeah.
What is it? The odds is gone. Boys and girls are equal with men, and nothing's left remarkable under the visiting moon. Something like that. But the idea that there's nothing left remarkable after Antony dies, as far as Cleopatra is concerned. I would just like to say that. Well, I just did, so I got that.
You got a taste.
What role would you like to be miscast in?
Maybe Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet, because I don't get to play villains very often, and I think that would be really fun to explore,
Yes.
like a darker side. And yeah, because I usually do monologues that have like a light sensibility, but with a dark edge, and like just to be able to dig into that piece of acting, I think that would be really fun. And the sword fighting would be cool too.
Take a look at Richard III too. He's got some good. The opening
Yes.
where he says, "I'm going to be evil. I'm going to be a villain."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I know no one has asked Kevin, but I would want to be the nurse in Romeo and Juliet, just
You'd be
for what it's worth.
Yes.
I know I would.
Perfect.
Samantha, I think that was a great question. I love that you wanted to ask him that question, but you hadn't thought about your own answer. That's pretty. You wanted to know what his answer was, but you hadn't thought about who you wanted to play.
Yeah.
Thank you, sweetie. Great job tonight.
Well done.
Let's talk to Holland.
Hello.
Hello.
My question. Oh, what? Hello. Sorry.
Speaking of nurses.
Oh, hi. Yeah. I just recently watched your production of Cyrano de Bergerac. Wonderful. Sorry, just so fabulous. I could go on a whole tangent about that. But I was going to ask, if you learned a valuable lesson from doing that show, what would it be?
Or never do a play without Jason Daunter as your right-hand assistant. And
thanks.
Speaking of Romeo and Juliet. The lesson, with a role that's large, that is that large, start early to learn your lines. That picture of me and Jason, I think before a show, even the first 3 weeks of previews, I was still going over the lines, because the man, Cyrano, never shuts up. He's eloquent to a fault. And so I learned, get that out of the way. You know, in the old days, you came to rehearsal. If you worked with Alfred and London and Fontaine, you came to the first rehearsal with all of your lines learned. Mm-hmm. If you work with Ivo van Hove today, you come with all of your lines learned. As the Luntz said, well, how can you start working until you get the lines? That's just a basic. Get those learned.
Yeah.
So I wish I'd done that. But what happened was the production came up very suddenly, and there was not a lot of time to prepare. I got a call from the director. Oh, theaters just became available in 2 months. You want to do it? Because we talked about doing it. And I said, okay. And just jumped in. But I wish I'd had more time to prepare the words. And especially the words are always important, at least to me, but certainly to Cyrano, they're crucial. He lives for.
And you are to the word perfect. You honor that text, Kevin, and you're always to the word, and you want to make sure that you're every word, and it's the art of preparation. You know, I think that you go out there and it can be effortless and be fun, but you are to the nth degree of bringing the work ethic to the table. That's for sure.
I think you have to.
Thanks, Holland.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Right, so here we go. I'm just going to launch in. There was one point I was trying to talk to you, and my microphone was off. So if you watch this, if people watch this back, that's why I was like, oh, he's just going to perform all of Cleopatra. But it's fine. We're learning. Yeah. Speaking of that, one of the questions I've been getting that I want to launch in with you is, what do you do about the voice in your head, as we call it, or the self-doubt? Questioning what do you do? Does that still happen? People want to know. When you're Kevin Kline, and what do you do about that?
Good question. I remember years ago, I was just starting out, and someone said, "Have you ever read The Inner Game of Tennis?" No, what's that? Read it, because it's a great acting book, and it's a book about that inner voice. And one of the things that the Inner Game of Tennis tells you is when you hit a ball and you miss, and you go, I missed, I suck, I can't play tennis, that was awful. That's not the voice you want to listen to. You want to listen to the voice that I missed because I think I was holding the racket a little too this and okay, I'll work on that. In other words, you don't curse yourself or damn yourself. In the same way in a performance, if you're acting and you go, ooh, that didn't come out quite the way I planned, you're no longer in the moment. You're already, you're back behind yourself. So the thing about, and I learned this doing a year's run of a musical on the 20th century, where you'd be doing a scene and it wasn't getting the laughs that we'd come to rely on, unfortunately. And we went through a period of about 2 weeks where, whoa, we've lost all these laughs. I'm thinking, we've lost all these laughs. Why? And then I thought, if I'm thinking about that, I'm not in the moment. And so I just got myself to get back into just doing it. And the laughs came back. They came back in slightly different places, but it's, again, the Luntz, there's a famous story where Alfred Luntz said, why aren't I getting the laugh anymore when I drink the tea? Or when I ask you for tea, that was always a big laugh. And she said, because you're asking for a laugh. You used to just ask me for the tea. You know, go back to playing the actions, suiting the action, the word to the action, as Hamlet said.
And it's as simple as saying moment to moment, right? Do you think of that basic, like you're just staying in the moment of it, right? And not trying to be ahead of yourself or think about what's next.
Yeah, the whole chore is to make it immediate, make it happen. And if you can make it happen in the moment or seem like it's happening in the moment, that's all to the good. That makes it, makes the audience engaged because they're saying, this is happening. This is, oh, something's really happening here. Now, as an actor, it's not going to happen every night. It'll happen on some nights, but you have this thing called technique, which is a vague word, but it does cover those nights where, I mean, to get a laugh or not get a laugh, blah blah blah. Oh, they're not crying tonight the way they were last night. You can't listen to that voice. You have to go forward. And as I started to say when I was doing that musical, I remember telling me, I said, okay, I'm just going to have a mantra in my head, which is, that was great. Every time I didn't get a laugh, you know, or the audience seemed to be, you know, snoozing. That's great. Just to prepare. Now, when you're doing 8 shows a week for a year, I think you can appreciate this. You need certain mantras to just propel you forward. And that was my mantra. Like, that was great. Just deluding myself, because if you're thinking you suck, that sucks. That was terrible. Like, ooh. Or even look at a fellow actor, go, why did he say that like that? Where is he tonight? If you're judging things like that, you're not reacting in the moment to either the text that you're speaking or to what is being said to you.
I think that's also a really good mantra to sort of have for right now is what can we launch ourselves into each day that we get up in our current state of what's going on, because you can't tap into what's going on daily in the, you know, we're not going to go down that path tonight. We'd be here all night if we start into that world. But
when you don't know that, oh, today's Saturday, it doesn't feel like Saturday. It feels like yesterday, which felt like Sunday, which everybody felt like Sunday because nothing's going on.
I know. I want to go to St. Louis and the Priory. I want to start there for a minute. Oh, look at that. There you are. Kevin Delaney Kline at the Priory in St. Louis, Missouri. What was
picture, by the way, that white building, that was my theater, the first theater I worked in. On the lawn in front of that was where I did my first play.
And what was the show?
What?
What was the show?
It was a Roman comedy written by Plautus, which was sort of the what Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum was based on. It was one of those Roman comedies, which the headmaster wanted us to do in Latin, which is how it was written. But we convinced him that it wouldn't play quite so well in Latin, so we did it in English. on
I
that.
don't think Latin would play well right now in St. Louis or a lot of places, truthfully.
Very small, esoteric, elite audience that would just hate the hell out of
They
it.
would dig it. So what was that? What was that high school experience like for you? If you look closely at that yearbook page, it does look like you had some sporting things. You were also into sports and stuff. But the theater, is this where the bug bit you?
You know, it may well have. I did it sort of on a lark. I didn't go to the theater much. Saw movies. I loved movies, and I thought, "Ooh, I want to try that." And in a way, I remember a couple of the guys. I went to an all boys school, but we had girls from another school playing the women's parts. But one of the guys was so nervous he was vomiting before the show, and people were just all beside themselves. And I found myself on stage feeling quite calm, quite still, actually. And I think in retrospect, I thought that was fun. Why are people vomiting? Let the audience do that, but not the actors.
Not the audience.
But no, I mean, I just wasn't nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I probably should have been.
Did it remain that way?
I have been nervous on usually
That's what
the first preview. Suddenly, the 4 weeks you've had in rehearsals, now there's people here. It changes the dynamic and can throw you. And so the first few minutes of the first preview, I'm usually a little butterflies in the stomach kind of.
With this, we've been talking through the series and things about this word success. What does it actually mean, and what do people relate it to and stuff? So I guess this question is sort of like, with success, rather than change and say with a career, does the intensity or the pressure amp up? You know, once you get that first Tony Award, you start getting accolades and stuff, and you're suddenly not just, Bloomington, Indiana, the acting company, Kevin Kline. You're suddenly now Pirates of Penzance, Sophie's Choice. The list continues. Does the pressure build up for you that way? Do you feel that there's an obligation to uphold something, or?
That's something I felt later on. Early on, when I got good reviews or won a Tony Award. It's a terrible thing to admit, but I did feel like, I guess I'm okay at this. I guess I have a knack to doing this, because I was never sure. Still am not. Still doubting. Still wondering how to improve, how to refine. Sometimes I'll be watching television and flipping around, and one of my movies will come up, and I'll either go, that was all right, that was good, that was a good moment. What am I doing? Sometimes I'm looking at it and thinking, can we reshoot that? Because I that was terrible. And a lot of it depends on my mood watching it, which is another lesson, which is the audience, they're all in a mood too when they're watching it. So you can't judge them. Or if a critic comes and dislikes a performance, I've been in a bad mood. There's all kinds of rationalizations that actors learn to make.
I love it. I hope that everybody's really, really listening to this stuff, because it's also like a way of life. And I remember you saying to me when we did Cyrano, and I've told this story a lot, that before we left the rehearsal studio, because we'd gotten very close in the rehearsal studio, you would work through the lunch break, you would come in early, we would run lines early in the morning, we would work through the lunch break, and then a couple nights a week, I would go home with you, and we would run lines at the house, give you a big dinner. I mean, you were immersed in the show 24/7. And I remember the first time you said it, you were like, do you have plans tonight? Can we run lines after rehearsal? And I did, but I canceled them because I'm not going to say no to this experience. And you would sit there and this passage, when Shakespeare says, and it was like a masterclass like this, that it was an unbelievable opportunity. And you said to me before we went into tech, you said, I want to tell you a couple things. You said, you've not done any of this yet, but I want to set you up to succeed, because I know how I'm going to get in my head about the process. And you said, I'm going to start thinking about this. So, if I ask for your opinion, though, I want it. And I thought that was such an interesting, you said that to me. Because I think too many times we do not set people up to succeed in this business, in life in general. We don't tell them what's expected until they've done something wrong. And they were saying, well, you haven't done this, but we didn't tell them what to do to begin with. Right. And I thought you set it up very clearly for me that there was a certain path. And the same kind of thing is, I wasn't to say if I thought somebody was bad on stage or a moment, the moment thing. You don't like to know if there's a moment in the show that somebody likes, or that, because can you get, and no one, you don't even know if Phoebe or the kids is in the audience. There's, my friends you never even met. There's no telling you somebody's out there. So all those kind of like just ground rules. And you said you've not done any of this, but I want to make sure that you're set up to succeed. And I really respected it because it gave me that, that young energy that I still even have today. It's like I would have blown back and be like, do you know that Meryl's here tonight? And that would have been like, the end of it.
I'd love to know that a friend is in the audience, or a famous person's in the audience, or there's a person in the audience who's come back for the 10th time to see you. It's like, I don't want to know any of that.
Right. Right.
Others do, especially after 6 or 7, 8 months of the run. Like they'll tell the stage manager, I don't know if anyone's ever asked you, please tell me something important is out there, because I don't want to do this today. I'm just
the Wednesday matinee, you get that line a lot. It's like, who's out there today? And I'm like, I'm not sure. They're over 60 and they're really excited to see it, but that's about it,
I used to like matinees. I remember talking to, if I can just name drop, Chris Walken. He said, I like matinees too, because you can try new things, because maybe there's this, I can't, I'm not going to do an imitation of Chris, but there is something, and there's a lesson to be learned from it, I think, which is these people are not, they're sort of chatting and having their sweets and not really, there's a lot of blue hair out there. But so they're not maybe my demographic necessarily. So I can not take all this too seriously and try to do the perfect performance. I can try some new stuff maybe. But that's the way that's the way it should be every night. Why is it only a Wednesday matinee or a Saturday matinee, whatever? I have to say, I've gone and seen matinee performances where the actor is not there. And they're literally, so and so is the star. Oh, he's out. Oh, okay. Well, you're not supposed to miss a performance. But I remember Sophie's Choice, the director, had seen me in a matinee. That I wasn't phoning it in. Because matinees, also, it's the early in the day. I find I have great energy. It's the second show.
Yeah.
After the matinee. Where you need to kind of do some yoga or whatever it takes. And apropos of that, the thing you mentioned about me talking to you before the previous, by the way, if I ask your opinion, I want it, or these are the rules, or these, and some of them are silly. Like I don't allow anyone backstage after the show during previews, because they might have notes, and they could be good notes, like, that moment when you closed your eyes, and I could never do that again, because the next night I close my eyes when I say those words, and then I'm thinking, Jimmy loved this, or it's my own problem. It's like, wouldn't you think by now I'd learn as an actor to concentrate so much that nothing could distract me? In fact, anything can distract me. I'm highly distractible, and I know that. And so I'm saying, I don't want to hear notes. I don't want to read reviews. I don't want to, whatever.
It's that self-preservation thing. And I think as a stage manager, for me, when I tried to then protect my company too from that, because you also get that moment, and I've seen it from you and from others, that it's like, I know what they've just been through. So I'll send an email and I won't go backstage to say hello, because you know what they've been through. They want to get home. They've been in rehearsal all day. It's that whatever. And then you do have people that you see after a show that come back. And I've run into this with some of mine. They come back and they go, so how are you? And they launch, I'm like, how am I? You just sat through 3 hours. How do you think, like, that's what you're going to launch into? Like, if you're going to go back, you have to have something to say, and don't start with the set. Like, that's like a dead giveaway. Like, it's like, how am I? I'm good.
There's about 2 people in the world who have come backstage to whom I have asked, "Do you have any notes?"
Hmm.
And yeah, about maybe 3 people that I would ask for notes. But don't come back and offer it. Like, if you come back, may I give you a note? It's like,
No.
Even if it's a good note, I'd rather not. I'd rather just learn. But a good note from someone who knows how to give a note, I'll take, of course.
Yeah. I want you to tell one story that I've heard you tell before and I was there for, and I'm going to tell my team, the tech team here that I'm standing by, to bring a kid on after this story, just so they have a heads up that we're about to do another performance. It's the audience members, and being able, obviously in the live theater, to be able to hear the audience and hear what's going on. And you were doing one of your brilliant death scenes in Cyrano with Jennifer Garner. And yes, there you go. You know exactly where I'm going with this.
It was so funny. Well, because Cyrano is dying in Roxanne's arms and spouting this beautifully poetic speech about his white plume and a life worth what makes life worth living, and poetry and all this sort of thing. And then he dies, and then the curtain comes down, and then we get off stage, and Jennifer Gardner, who was playing Roxanne, said, "Did you hear that woman in the 3rd row?" I said, "No, luckily I was speaking too loud. I couldn't hear." She said her phone rang. She picked it up and said something along the lines of, yes, I'm still here. Kevin Kline is dying right now, so it can't be too much longer. I'll meet you at the restaurant in 10 minutes, okay? But it should be over soon. Yeah, oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, he's dead. All right, I'll see you soon. And this is all poor Roxanne or Jennifer had to listen to that. Luckily, I was spouting. You couldn't hear it.
Will you hang around and watch a couple more performances and then chat with us a little more? We're going to see a couple more of these amazing student performers. Sound good?
No, I'm done.
I do think we did have a comment. We did have a comment off to the side, and I don't know where it's coming from. It could be from inside the house, but we did get a comment that said, "Who is the favorite person you're quarantined with?" So I feel like it could be the family sending that question, and they're trying to start some drama. I don't know, so I'm not going to ask for the answer. But I did see that one go by, and I was like, I think this is a call coming from inside the house commenter. But
they don't listen to me talk. They don't listen in life or virtually on when I'm streaming.
When you're streaming, as you were. All right, we're going to come back to you in a minute. Let's watch some more Shakespeare. Amazing. I hope it's reading to you all at home. I know it is, because I'm seeing the comments to the side. He's genuine. We've been talking about authentic selves. Great, really great. Let's do some more Shakespeare. All right. This is Two Gentlemen of Verona. One of Shakespeare's fools, Launce, is devastated at having to leave his family to follow his master, becoming upset by not getting any reaction from his pet dog. This is Abraham Cortez with Two Gentlemen of Verona. Hey, Abraham, it's Jason. Can you hear me? You got the mic muted on your end. There you go. Now we got it. Your mic was muted. Let's start again. I'm going to give you the whole thing over again, live theater folks. I'm going to give you your intro, and you're going to do it again, okay? Take your minute. We didn't see that happen. That was amazing. Kevin was like that during, the run. I mean, just in the moment, authentic selves, right? We're all back in the moment now, right? Let's get back to some Shakespeare. Two Gentlemen of Verona. One of Shakespeare's fools, Launce, is devastated at having to leave his family to follow his master, becoming upset by not getting any reaction from his pet dog. This is Abraham Cortez with Two Gentlemen of Verona.
Nay, I'll show you the manner of it. This shoe is my father. No. This left shoe is my father. No, this left shoe is my mother. No, I cannot be so neither. Yes, it is so, it is so. It hath the worse her soul. This shoe with the hole in it is my mother, and this my father, a vengeance on it. There it is now, sit. This staff is my sister, for look you, she is as white as a lily and small as a wand. This hat is Nan, our maid. I am the dog. No, the dog is me and I am myself. The dog is me and I am... So. Now come I to my father. Father, your blessing. Now should not the shoe speak a word for weeping. Now, should I kiss my father? Well, he weeps on. Now, come I to my mother. Oh, that she could speak like a white woman. Shall I kiss her? Right, there it is. There's my mother's breath up and down. Now come I to my sister. Marks the moan she makes. Now all this while the dog sheds not a tear nor speaks a word. But see how I lift us with my tears.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
And I think I'm a stage manager, right, by trade. And I love the live theater moments. It's not great when you're going through them, but a live theater moment is like, I'm not going to let you do the version of, everybody at home could have been like, wait, what happened to our sound? But we're going to give you the best chance. Like, Kevin was saying earlier, you roll the punches and you did a great job and you bounced right back.
Thank you.
So we'll hang out for a second and we'll bring you back and ask Mr. Kline a question in a minute.
Thank you.
And it's true, you guys, like this is live. This is why, and we'll get to this when we bring him back and ask in a little bit, but this is why I do this. I don't want to do film. Nothing against it. I got the chance to sit on a film set with Kevin a couple of times and it was interesting for the first couple of hours, but then it was like, I love telling the whole story. I like being in that moment, not knowing what's going to get thrown to you. Living in the play world for the last couple of years, there is no song coming in. There's no 5, 6, 7, 8 to get you back into some kind of groove. And so you can live in the gray. So it's pretty great. So I like the live aspect. I like, knowing the audience is there. Shout out to Rondi Reed, Tony Award winner who's watching. I saw that, Rondi, we love you. Got a story actually about August Osage County and Kevin on opening night of Cyrano. That's how we got him out of the building, was through your guys' performance of August. I think you guys actually held like Act 3 or something for us to get him out of the building. I do remember that, but I adore you and thanks for tuning in. We're gonna get Rondi on an upcoming episode too and talking about that stuff. An old founding member and amazing actress. Let's get back to some Shakespeare. I think she just you've played the nurse, right, Rondi? I'm sure. The Winter's Tale. Paulina, a noble woman and good friend of Queen Hermione, is berating the jealous king, Leontes, who is responsible for his wife's death. Despite the tragic premise, this play is actually a dramedy. The first 3 acts are dramatic, and the final 2 are comedic. This is Amelia Baker with The Winter's Tale.
What studied torments tyrant hast for me? What? Wheels? Racks? Flames? What? Flaying? Boiling? And leads or oils? What old or newer torture must I receive, whose every word deserves a taste of thy most worst? Thy tyranny, together working with thy jealousies, fancies, too weak for boys, too green and idle for girls of 9. Oh, think what they have done, and then run mad indeed. Stark mad. For all thy wagons' fooleries were but spices of it. That thou betrayest Polixenes, 'twas nothing that did but show thee of a fool, inconstant and damnable and grateful. Nor was't much that thou would poison good Camillo's honor to have him kill a king. Poor trespasses. More monstrous standing by, or if I reckon the casting forth to crows thy baby daughter. to be or none or little, though a devil would have shed water out of fire ere done it. Nor is it directly laid to thee the death of the young prince whose thoughts so high for one so tender cleft the heart could conceive a gross and foolish sire. No, this is not directly lied to thy answer. For when I have said, cry woe, the queen, the sweetest, dearest creatures, dead. And vengeance, for it not dropped down yet.
That was I loved it in rehearsal and I loved it now. I love that you all are comfortable in stillness. I think there's so many times that people want to shift and it's that, and you just stand there and you just deliver the material. And like Kevin said earlier, I based it on that yesterday. I told you, I was like, I understand what you're saying because you understand it. I mean, that to me is basic, Shakespeare 101 for me, who's a little 5, 6, 7, 8 jazz hand over here. But that was really amazing. Let's bring Abraham back, and then let's go back out to the East Coast and bring in Mr. Kline. There he is. Welcome back.
Hello.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's on my fault. Hold on. There you go. That was me. You're there, Kev.
What? Repeat what I just said?
Yep, say it again.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Super. I mean, of course, I have notes, but only if you ask me for them.
Wow, there it is. Abraham, you want to ask for notes or a question? Let's go to you for any question.
Mr. Kline, I have a question. How do you prepare differently playing a Shakespeare role?
Yeah, I've been asked this before. I don't, whether it's Shakespeare, whether it's comedy, whether it's tragedy, whether it's a film, preparation changes. The way you prepare for things depends on the thing itself. Learn the words. The thing about Shakespeare, which I tell young students, old students, and I have a particular thing about it myself. You have to know what you're saying specifically. That's basic. We all know that. And acting is specificity and knowing what you're saying. But with Shakespeare, with the arcane, abstruse, archaic language, aside from it being arcane, archaic, and whatever, it's heightened. It's not how people talk. You have to come to some terms with, how do I say this so I'm not speaking it beautifully, but I can act it, I can talk, but it's not just conversational. It's not naturalism. It's heightened. And that is in the words themselves. And of course, within those words, some words are more heightened than others. Some passages are more poetic than others. Some of it's perfectly straightforward. Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious. Winter, okay, I'm doing a little, there's a metaphor I'm using and some other poetic things. But basically, I'm just saying, now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by the sun of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments. What am I saying? That's Richard III talking to the audience, saying this, but then it gets pretty. Then he waxes poetic at times, but other times it's pretty straightforward. Hamlet at the end, when Horatio says, "Don't go and do this sword fight. Something's up here, and it looks bad. It smells bad." And Hamlet says, "Well, we defy argument. There's a special providence in the fall of a sparrow. If it be now, it is not to come. If it be not to come, it will be now." not now, yet it will come. The readiness is all. Those are all monosyllables until he says the word readiness. If it be now, 'tis not to come. If it be not to come, it will be now. If it be not now, yet it will come. The readiness is all. It's like at the end of Richard II's, for God's sake, let us sit upon the ground. He says, but you have but mistook me all this while. I live with bread like you, feel want, need friends, taste grief, subjected thus. How can you say to me, I am a king? The word subjected is a play on the words being a subject to Bolingbroke, who is now usurped what is rightfully mine, and subject in the other senses of the word. Subjected comes after these monosyllables. It's just something you notice after a while when you do a lot of Shakespeare, that there's something about, not that one syllable words are necessarily less powerful or less anything, but there's something in the, I don't know, something in the music of it that I find affecting. So what was your question? How do you prepare for it?
You
know what you're saying exactly.
Right.
But then you've got to forget about it the same way if you try to, it's just a lot of times early on in a Shakespearean career, whatever that is, you love the words and you want to say those words, and it's all thrilling and fun, and tell the story and be this character and speak in this heightened, poetic, unusual way, and think these extraordinary life and death kind of thoughts. But when it comes down to putting on the show, make sure the audience, you want the audience to be with you, know what you're saying. If we see it a lot of times, you see an actor saying, okay, I know I'm angry here. I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but I seem to be angry. So I'll just do general anger. But if it becomes generalized anger and it just stays on one track and you go, oh, okay, we get it. You're angry. What the hell are you saying? Because with Shakespeare, it's what you're saying. There's no sets and costumes. No sets and lights and special effects and scenic effects happening. It's all in the words. Just bitter cold. Clock struck 12. We all say what time it is. We don't cut to a clock on the wall hitting midnight. Like film. My point being, the words are important. The words are important in non-Shakespearean roles too, but I think I'm more in film. The words are the least important because it's a visual thing. You can do so much with a look.
Right.
You don't need a whole speech to respond. If you just go, if the camera's really close, you can just, as opposed to rogue and peasant slave, monstrous. And whatever Hamlet's thoughts are, they come spewing out in this eloquent language. Whereas a look or not doing anything, seemingly not reacting, can be a very powerful reaction. I'm generalizing. What was the question? How do you prepare?
That is it for the masterclass here that we've just covered in Acting 101 with Mr. Kline. People are losing it.
Don't generalize. Don't generalize.
Thank you, Abraham.
Thank you.
Yeah. The comments are blowing up. Priceless. They're saying this is what it's, your wisdom. People are loving it. So yes, all of it. And also there's a campaign currently starting that when Broadway does come back, you're going to play Cleopatra. So be ready for that phone call, I guess, because that's how we. That's how we should bring Broadway back, as Kevin Kline starring as Cleopatra. Amelia, come talk to us.
Hi, Mr. Kline. So my question for you is, we're all high school students, and some of us are approaching that like post-high school and going into the crazy world of theater. I was just wondering what your advice is to students going out into that world.
Yes, the world. The world. I haven't been out in the world, actually.
I haven't either.
I assume it's still there, and will be when you graduate. But in terms of continuing your acting education, it's a lifetime curriculum. But you, of course, it's hard when you. There's so many. The question is fraught with many different levels. My experience in high school, I hated Shakespeare in high school. We were not taught it particularly well. We would, you stand up and read that speech of Julius Caesar. I would read it, have no idea what I said, and thinking, why can't this guy write, so we can understand it? What's all this terrible, obscure language? Why are we bothering with this? Then it wasn't until college, actually. I was actually taking an English class. We were reading Othello, and I was taking an acting class, and I was doing a tiny part in a Scottish play. And it all sort of started to make sense. Anyway, I started by doing little parts, trying out for things, getting little parts, then bigger parts, and then bigger parts. And then I thought, oh, I'm a big fish here. And then when I left college, that was even hard. Well, high school, I had done one play, basically. And I didn't go to college to study theater. I went to study music. But I took a couple of acting classes and sort of liked it, and then I started auditioning. You can go to a drama school, which I did after I went to college. College education, a liberal arts education, or autodidacticism. Keep reading. You need to study other things if you're going to be an actor. You have to understand history. You have to understand art, the history of art, literature, music, dance. Go to the theater, go to museums, go to concerts, read books, literature. Great literature is very important. So I can say, make sure you get a good education, but also make sure you act whenever you can. If you want to really pursue that, do anything. Mop the floor at a theater. Be around when you get in college or out of college. Be around the best professional people you can be, so you can learn, as Jason was talking about. You can go to 4 years of drama school and not be able to act at all. You can skip drama school and be a gifted, wonderful actor. It's not, because ultimately you teach yourself. It's not like the piano. You need a teacher. But, and a teacher can be certainly very helpful, but really what a drama conservatory is, like a music conservatory, only a little different. It's a safe place to practice your craft. You get a lot of criticism and learn to be rejected, feel hated, unloved. All those important things that'll come in handy later. But you just have to stick with it. But and also, if you you start to hate it, stop it. It's like I know this is good for me, but this is terrible. Put it down. Pick up another book.
Mhm.
But it seems like the end of the world. Acting. It's everything. It was everything to me. I didn't think about anything but acting. I carried a copy of Hamlet around in my pocket for 15 years before I ever played it. But I just there's no magic formula. You have to roll with the punches. You have to have a thick skin like a rhinoceros. You have to be able to accept rejection in college. When you go and audition with all the other drama students and you don't get called back, you go, oh, I must be terrible. I suck. When I auditioned for Juilliard, a week previously, I went to what we call the TCG auditions, which is a different name for it now, where the kids in colleges, they send their top acting students there to audition for these people who gather from all the regional theaters, Guthrie, ACT, Goodman, Chicago, wherever. And they're looking for young talent. Well, I got bounced. I didn't get called back. A week later, I had my Juilliard audition. And what's the point? Clearly, even though I'm getting good parts in college, I guess I don't really have the right stuff. Okay, but my parents gave me these tickets to New York, and I could see all my friends who had graduated already, and I might as well go. And I went, and I changed my audition piece. I don't do Greek tragedy. I did not a good audition piece. I changed my audition piece and got into Juilliard after being rejected, and then cut to 25 years later. I'm an associate producer down at the Public Theater with Rosemary Tischler, who was co-associate producer, who at that time was the woman I was auditioning for, who bounced me and didn't call me back. And I love to remind her. Just couldn't see this latent, nascent talent ready to emerge. But I'm here anyway, because I took the rejection and thought, well, okay. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can tell yourself, but get ready for rejection.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of it. It's part of it. And I had to, when I directed Hamlet, and friends of mine were coming in that I'd worked with for years, and they, how do you say, that was great, but so-and-so's more right for this part in this production at this time, so I'm not going to cast you.
Yeah.
But it's great to see you.
Yeah.
And you're rejecting, and I thought, oh, what a horrible thing. I remember a famous movie director saying he feels so bad when actors are. He always walks them. He said, I always walk them out to their car after the audition. I want to drive them home. I want to give them chocolate, whatever.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible for the people, for the auditionee and the auditioner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the person.
That's right. You had it right. You had it totally right.
The auditor, the listener.
I hope, Amelia, you're planning to go now and write all of this down, and you all will hold, the five of you will hold on to this, because this is a moment that, as the comments are going, everybody's wanting their 30 seconds here. And I thank Kevin for taking the time with the five of you. You five, I told you in rehearsal yesterday, you took the risk of joining me for this, series launch. And when I said, let's put Shakespeare on it, you guys went there and you performed brilliantly tonight. So congratulations to all of you.
Really clear. Clarity. Most actors say, how is the clarity? I went, well, it's not clarity, it's clarity. When you're doing Shakespeare, otherwise it's clarity. But there was clarity, there was conviction, I understood what you were saying. To me, that's a gift when an actor can give me that as an audience.
Thank
and
you.
it's a rare thing.
Yeah.
I had a note for the actor whose name I've forgotten now, who was talking to his mother's shoe, talking about her
Yes.
breath.
Uh-huh.
I thought, this just the shtick, pure shtick. And now when he looks at the heel of his shoe, her breath, I bet he notices something on the shoe that he stepped in from his dog. It's all a dumb show. Forget I said it, but it's
Steal it, Abraham. Thank you, Amelia.
Thank you.
if you see something unseemly on the heel of your shoe and you can make hay with it, go for it.
I want to, because of course everybody, we could do this every week and people would show up because, they're hanging on your every word and your every story. But I want us to, I'm going to put up some photos from the past. We can't, we're not going to spend all the time on all of them, but let's look at some of the early days.
Ah, yes.
Now, you were telling me Wingless Victory was the first?
No. The first thing I ever did was the guy in the middle of that group shot.
Right. Yep. The straight up from the word Macbeth.
The sergeant. He comes out in the second scene. There's a whole speech about how valiant Macbeth was, and then he faints. And Duncan says, "Your gashes, thy gashes reek of honor. Bear him away." And then you sit around and wait for the curtain call for 2 hours. But you listen to Shakespeare.
Yeah.
2 hours. Anyway, that was my first role in anything in college.
And then where's the Richard III?
That's the first role I did after Pirates of Penzance in Central Park. Joe Papp said, you could do Shakespeare. Is that something that interests you? Yes, it does. It interests me very much. In fact, he didn't know anything about me except I'd just done Pirates of Penzance, and it was a big hit. And blah blah blah. So we agreed to do Richard III because I had carried a spear in Richard III, my first job, before I even went to Juilliard. That summer before Juilliard, I carried a spear in Central Park, and they were doing Richard III.
You've done a lot at the Delacorte. Like the Delacorte, obviously, you just mentioned the public theater. You were the associate. What was the title of the associate? There, but you've also performed a lot through the years in the.
Yeah. I did Richard III, followed it with Henry V, followed it with Hamlet. That was indoors. And back outdoors with Measure for Measure. Hamlet again, another production indoors. And of course, Pirates of Penzance was in the park.
And then also, we've gotten the question, and you kind of alluded to it, but I want to make sure we're clear. You started as a piano major at Indiana University. There's questions about what was your music, but you started as a piano major at Indiana, correct?
Yeah.
And in DeLovely, you were doing all of your own playing. Is that correct?
No, I was playing air piano to a pre-recorded. What do you mean I was doing my own playing?
I thought you played the piano in that. You didn't?
In what? Oh, in what?
In DeLovely. Sorry, in DeLovely.
I thought you were asking in music school, did I play my own piano? No, that was all dubbed. Yes, I played the piano myself.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And I know the question's coming. Do you still play the piano? And I know the answer to it. You do still play the piano as much as you can.
It's my therapy. It's my solace. It's my joy. I'm always happy when if the day goes by and I haven't played the piano at all, I'm not as happy. Music.
Who painted the picture behind you? That's another one of your joys. Who painted that?
Oh, I'm not saying. It was an early experiment when I first started dabbling in things, daubing and dabbling 25 years ago. And someone got it framed as a surprise. It's still hanging here, and I don't know why.
I love it. I think the thing I love tonight is that we focused on, I've been saying to you, like process and product. That's what I think is so interesting to me. I'm always about the process of how we get somewhere, and then you get to a product, right? And to me, it's more about the process of making something, and you can still have a really great product. But tonight we've really dove into, everybody knows you for your roles, and they can look up the roles they haven't seen you do and stuff. But we've gotten to talk about the technique, and that's what people want to know about. You know, they want to hear about that. Let's look at a few more photos from the more current Broadway days when you were the Kevin Kline. They're all the look at those. There's some roles there. We got Cyrano. We got On the 20th Century. We got A Pirate King. We got You and Meryl. We got Falstaff. You on a Couch Topless. What's that one from? You always tell me what that one's from. What's the top of that? Loose Ends. That's right.
Yeah.
Loose Ends. Quite the, you will go there. I mean, I remember the prosthetic for Cyrano. That's your own beard as Falstaff. You've got quite the look. And you and Meryl has done live theater how many times?
We did Mother Courage and The Seagull. I think that was it.
Both in the park.
Both in the park?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and we did an evening of Shakespeare love scenes as a fundraiser.
Oh, right. That's what I did. Right. We did that together.
You worked on that with us.
Yeah. We lost your cell phone that afternoon. I don't know if you remember that part. Do you remember that?
No. We lost
your cell phone ended up in Miss Streep's purse. And she ran out after rehearsal to go look at an apartment for one of the daughters between rehearsal and the show that night. And you lost it. And you and I were literally looking for it. We were in that bunker of a theater that had no service. And then finally I found a phone that would dial out and somebody answered it. She said, I've got it. I said, who is this? And she said, Meryl Streep. I thought, there's a line for the future.
Yeah, Meryl is not many people know this, but she is a kleptomaniac. And she takes it. Whether it's someone's phone or a piece of business that they've just done, she just steals it and does it the next night herself.
Piece of business. Speaking of Miss Streep and Sophie's Choice, another recurring question was about when you have to play a really emotional, violent, something really heavy, dark, and deep. Like, what is that like to get there? And then is there a coming down process after it? Like, how do you get yourself to that headspace and also work yourself out of it once you've delivered that performance?
Wow. That was my first film and the most exciting time for me to be working on that material in a film with Alan Pakula directing and Peter McNichol playing the other guy, and Meryl Streep, who held my hand through the whole thing and was so helpful, knowing I'd come from the theater. And she kind of showed me the ropes. I remember one day I was doing a big speech, and she said, it's sort of like that Lynn Fontaine thing about just ask for the tea. You're asking for a laugh. And she just said, just tell her, or I was giving him something. I said, just give it to him. That I was making a meal out of something that was just a little hors d'oeuvre. It's like Hamlet's advice to the players. You can do too much, but you can do too much on stage. You can do too much on film. You can do too little. Be not too tame. Neither, Hamlet says. Don't bellow and strut. What was the question about Sophie's Choice? Was there?
You did about the emotional scenes, and I can actually. I was going to add. Yep.
Oh, it was coffee, espressos. Espresso. It just kind of come on the scene. Cappuccino. I would just always be asking for another cappuccino, and because I was playing a guy who was, in the book he's on amphetamine, so he's wired all the time. He's also paranoid schizophrenic. But anyway, the coffee helped. You're just coming down from it. Those are the days. They don't do this much anymore because everything's on DVDs. But we would finish shooting, then we would go to this theater and watch what we had shot the day before.
Oh.
Which was, in some directors, I've even worked with directors 20 years after that. Said, oh no, I don't like the actors to see the dailies. I'm in sing tales since I began. But because they think, no, you can become very self-conscious and concerned with how you look and all that. It didn't happen to me. I started to appreciate the lighting and the camera and why one take was better than another. The greatest thing about it was after I would go and talk to Alan Pakula, the director, and I would say, so that's I like, do you like the beginning of the first take, and then in the third take, sort of the middle part was good, and then in the fourth take, the ending was good. He said, exactly, that's what I'm going to use. So I knew, okay, then so we know where we're at. I knew, and you can do that. It's because it's not like talking in theory. You've got it, you've just seen it, and you can ask the director. So which part of that was, tossable and which was keepable? And if you find yourself agreeing, that's a really good thing.
I love it.
Same page.
That's what you want to be, right? So many people, there's such a debate over which movie is their favorite. I'm watching, it's everything from Big Chill to Soap Dish to, Sophie's Choice is like a one and done for me. I can't watch it. It's not when I'm like, oh, I'm going to turn it on again tonight and watch it. You watch it one time, you have the experience, then you shelf it. One of my favorites I want to throw out for people's Life as a House that you actually had told me about when we were working together. Because as I told you yesterday again in rehearsal, I think I'd only seen one of the movies you did before we worked together. And then I was part of working with you as you have to then take all the DVDs home from your house and watch them before you come back to the next day of work. So I had a long night and watched your entire catalog and came back in for the next day of work, kept the job. So I got caught up on all of your films after that. But everybody's really debating it. But I have to, as we ready to wrap, I have to thank you for doing this tonight. I think, especially with where we are right now, everybody feels like you're in their living room. They wouldn't have gotten this at the 92nd Street Y. They wouldn't have gotten it at the Booth Theater. You're literally right there on their screen. Students will be able to look back on this next week if they want. There'll be a way to see this, and it's such a gift that you gave us tonight to give us a sense of normalcy on a Saturday night, to see someone who everybody considers a friend they've watched for so many years on the screen. But I want to ask you about two people as we get ready to close, and it can just be two short sentences about them. But one is Mike Nichols and one is Hal Prince. And what those two men both meant to you, Hal Prince and Mike Nichols.
Hal Prince,
yeah.
Hal Prince gave me my first commercial Broadway role, and was fantastic, so positive, so full of joy.
Should I cheat myself and take the sign out of it? Okay.
I didn't week he was working with the chorus and doing these other scenes, but I was there watching. He said, "Don't worry, kid, we're gonna get to you soon." And I had thought up some cheap shtick to do on my first entrance, and I thought, this is really outrageous. But I had confetti in my pocket, and I had an 8x10 glossy of me, and I'm playing an actor who's vain and desperate. And anyway, so I came in the room and I threw the confetti up and stuck my picture with a double-faced tape on the back. I stuck it on the wall, and I said to Madeline Kahn, I said, "Big Boo Boo is here," or whatever it was. My name was Bruce, but she called me Big Boo Boo. Anyway, he laughed, and I kept going. I thought, they're either going to fire me or say, take it down a notch or two. He went, no, keep it going, do more. And he just let me and Madeline invent all kinds of physical comedy and stuff. And it was just, I remember him once, actually, toward the end of rehearsals, he said, will you stop changing it and inventing new stuff? It's like there was a scene where they locked me in the bathroom of in a car on the train. Suddenly I came through another door. He said, what are you doing? I said, I think he ate through the outside of the train. Will you get back in that bathroom? My point being that he gave the actors, as did Alan Pakula on Sophie's Choice, freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Anything. There's no, you can't, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'll say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the freedom to fail, the freedom to make a complete fool of yourself, especially if you're doing comedy, but anything, trying something in a rehearsal that's, I mean, that was, I went beyond the pale on that one, but being able to try things fearlessly, being foolish, being clownish, being stupid, being tasteless. I had a great director in acting teaching. Check your taste at the door when you come in here. I don't want good taste. Obviously, one can go overboard and give an utterly tasteless performance at any given moment. My point being, Hal Prince gave me this not only freedom but encouragement to just make up stuff, keep doing stuff. And as an actor, it's a good story to tell because there are no small parts; they're only small actors. This was a small part that I turned down originally, that I was talked into doing, that grew in rehearsals. A song was written for the character, grew, and a part that I'd originally turned down because it was too small, I won a Tony for. No one could have been more surprised, but the fact that the process was so joyful, this rehearsal process with a director and a co-star in Madeline Kahn, who just loved to play. Let's keep inventing stuff, so that the director had to say, stop inventing stuff. We're going to Boston. We're at the Colonial there for 3 weeks. We'll hone it. That you can go back to experimenting there. But right now, let's just freeze this. Yeah. So I know what we have at least before we go. Anyway, I loved him dearly. He was a great man, a great director and producer. Mike Nichols was someone whom I had admired tremendously. Had movies I had seen that had changed my life. So I was in awe of him. And of course, he couldn't have been more nice. He was nice to me. He was not nice, but he was also let you experiment. Was not afraid to say no. Also, one day I was doing a scene with Natalie Portman. He said, let's try that in the hammock where the two of you, I had a long speech as Trigorin in The Seagull. And there was this hammock. He said, try it with the two of you in the hammock. Try it as if you're telling her, okay, yes, we're going to have an affair, but I'm never going to quit writing. And that's where my mind is going to be always. It's the speech where he talks about how I see a cloud and I go, that looks like an idea for a short story, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, this long speech, we did it in the hammock. He said, that was a terrible direction. I'm very sorry. Let's never do that again. Get out of the hammock. Let's go back to you standing up and just talking. So he wasn't, his ego was healthy enough that he could say, dumb idea. I'm trying stuff too, as the director. And when it doesn't work, I say no to me. And he said no to me a couple times too.
You know what I found is, and again, I would have 10 years ago, I would have said who am I to say something? But it's now after having been in New York for 10 years and you actually and Phoebe had sat me down a couple of times and said no, you have a place at the table now. You've worked on some big shows and with some people and you have just as much claim here too. And it's directors are allowed to also say I don't know in that moment. I think there's so many times they've got to have the answer. And it's you don't. We're all here to support you, from the lighting designer to the sound designer to the stage manager to that whole group is going to run with you with your mission. And maybe sometimes it can be helped to find what's missing by working with your collaborators. It's that moment where it doesn't have to be answered right in that moment. That's the whole nature of this collaborative art to me. But I think that, Hal and Mike and those guys would take those risks and not be worried about the ego. And I think that was half the battle. And you saw it in what they produced completely on that stage.
Yeah. And there, that question you mentioned earlier about success, does success make it oh dear, well, I've had a huge success. Now, how do I top that? You maybe in the back of your mind somewhere, like, I hope this doesn't suck. But that's, I mean, Mike Nichols once said, I remember in an interview saying, well, directing, it's not something you get to see other people do. So you're never sure if you're doing it right. It's like making love. I don't watch any other couples doing it. He said, so I just try to find a script that I love, and then I just commit to it, and I just try not to fuck it up.
There it is.
That's
how you can end on that note right there.
I just want to do the best I can with it, and hope for the best.
Yeah. On behalf of first of all, for me, because you did this as a favor to me. You guys the whole family's so great to me, and I adore you. Everybody, you are welcome to come back anytime you want. Anytime. We can do a piano show, we can do a painting show, we can do whatever. So we're open standing agreement here at Projects with Jason.
If you're here, I'll laugh.
Bob Roth's been gone too long. We could do like a little happy tree could live here, and you could do painting tutorials. It's teach music time with Mr. Kline. Yes. That's exactly it. Kevin Kline, thank you so much from the West Coast out here.
It's a launching pad of new idea artists and high school and Shakespeare and acting and all of this stuff, and artists talking with. Great. It's great. I remember when I was in college, and then again when I was Juilliard, and a working actor would come and talk to us. It was like, oh, it's like being quarantined. It's like, oh, what is it like out there? And it was a light at the end of the tunnel. It was great.
Yeah,
I'm happy to do that whenever you ask.
Totally, I appreciate it. Everybody, virtual applause.
I left something out.
Oh yeah,
my performance. No, I'm not going to. But I'm happy to do it because I remember how important it was to me to hear. I remember Morris Karnofsky was on tour doing King Lear, and he came and he spoke to the drama department when I was in college, and he was speaking, and right in the middle he said, "I wish you could all see yourselves right now, because it's acting. It is the key to acting. Your attention is completely out of yourself. All of your attention is on me, and you are beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see." And it's like, I see. Yeah, getting the attention out of yourself and putting it on the other guy. It was just a wonderful sort of lesson while watching a wonderful actor speak.
Well, you have given lots of lessons tonight. You always give amazing sound bites. You've given great stories. And like I said, you always have as long as you have a healthy internet connection, you have a spot here during the quarantine to come back and talk with us whenever you like.
Maybe I'll just do my own blog.
People are here for it.
The Shakespeare blog.
With double K. Thank you, Kevin Kline. You guys, really? Come on, even the sign blew down. What's on that side? There it is. The sign blew down. I got so excited. Just random bouts of Shakespeare and him just doing Cleopatra. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. That's a show for tonight. I have to thank all the collaborators, of course. We've done 3 in a row this week, 3 nights of live. And I'm so excited to not have to be. I know why I was never, Hoda Kotb and Kathy Lee Gifford, because being live every night has been a real struggle. So my hat's off to all the people that have to be on TV. All across California and up in Oregon and in New York, we've got people working on this team. There's about 15 of us making these shows happen. I can't thank you enough. Tune in next week. I can tell you Friday night, we're back with Virtual Cabaret. We got Nicole Parker and Ali Mozzie, best friends from Wicked, and they're going to be joined by some very special schools that have connections to them and Orange County. We will be off on Saturday next week. So if you're checking this out Saturday, because the One World concert is that night, and we're going to be supporting Gaga and all of the peeps that are coming out for that. So we will not be competing with that. But on Sunday, we're We're back with another artist in conversation who I'm also very excited about. Lots of stories from childhood, but it's Sam Harris, the amazing tones of Broadway's Sam Harris. So cool. And he's going to be joined by 4 incredible ladies who actually don't even know they're doing it yet. They may have just found out now that school has 4 incredible ladies that are going to join him, because you can't, some of the boys, not fair to put them on a show with Sam Harris. So we're going to give it to the ladies that night. Follow us, please. Check it out. We've got some amazing tech things coming down the line. We've got some amazing directors, choreographers. We got everybody. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork, because we're going to be here for you guys to keep us through all of this. Remember, in the end, kindness matters. Be kind to each other. Take care of each other. Take a minute for yourself. And, thank a teacher, because they've been there for you too, and they're missing you guys in the classroom just as much. And for the teachers out there, remember that you're still making that connection and you can make a difference. On behalf of all of us at Project with Jason, have a great night. Thanks so much for tuning in. On behalf of all of us at Projects with Jason, thanks so much for your support, your likes, and for watching. We continue to do this to throw the love and the collaboration across the nation. Thanks, you guys.